That is, serve all the activities of their senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. Because of such devotion, the Lord gives himself to his devotees as if they could use him for any purpose they might desire. Of course, devotees have no purpose other than to serve. When a devotee fully surrenders and has no aspiration for material profit, the Lord certainly gives him all opportunities for service. This is the position of the Lord when conquered by his devotees. Om Yana Tiranandasya Yanandana Chakshundalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this Bhaktivedanta purport, you can see Srila Prabhupada playing all the keys of the piano, just covering the full gamut of material and spiritual existence, all in one purport. This is the inimitable, extraordinary style and mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that in one paragraph he's talking about the bottom of material existence. Just remember and meditate on this definition of kama. A living entity cannot exist without desires, but desires that can never be fulfilled are called kama, lusty desires. And then at the same time, in this purport, he's talking about the highest perfection of this mutual conquering is exhibited by Krishna and the gopis. And he describes what happens when Krishna plays his flute, and what happens when Krishna doesn't see the gopis. So it's all going on all at once. Let us discuss material expectations, material rewards, and our hopes for fulfillment in this world. Keeping in mind that the definition of kama is desires that can never be fulfilled. So that might not seem fair to you. Why do we have these desires if they can never be fulfilled? Doesn't it make sense that if you have desires, that means fulfillment is there? I've explained several times, I believe, here in class, that the so-called great contribution of so-called Western civilization is to take two things that are totally separate. Desire on one hand, and fulfillment of desire on the other hand, and just compress them all into one singularity. Because I desire, there is fulfillment of the desire. So this mythology has hoodwinked everyone. So therefore you see people just running around full of desires and foolishly thinking that there'll be some kind of fulfillment because after all I have desires. And they think it's natural that if they want to be religious, for example, God gave us desires. That means God also will give the fulfillment of the desires. It's all going to work for us. Yet, we're getting knowledge here. The scientific definition of kama is a desire that can never be fulfilled. So naturally, an intelligent person would think, well, what am I doing with this kind of stuff? What am I running around with these kamas, which by definition can never be fulfilled? But there's something about being in the material atmosphere that fills you with hope, even though your desires will never be fulfilled. We were speaking about this last night at your Bhakti house. And I was thinking, what's the reality of these guests who are so fortunate to come and hear about Krishna and chant Hare Krishna Take Prasad and try to gradually immerse themselves into Bhakti culture. I spoke about this, thinking the world owes you a favor. It seems, somehow or other, we have this assumption that because I'm in this world, and because I have desires, fulfillment will come. It may not be completely how I want it. It may not be to the amount that I want it, but there'll be something. And this motivation keeps one struggling on. You're about to start your pro-glide marathon here, so I just humbly relate that. Yesterday, I was getting a very nice realization about the hopes of fulfillment, courtesy of San Francisco State University. Actually, Chicago and I went out on Sankirtan to San Francisco State University yesterday. And you see all around you young students, and they all have their different majors. We would stop them. I'd say, what's your major? Business. What's yours? Criminal justice. What's yours? Philosophy. So, obviously, these students, some of you remember being students, they had hopes. I'm doing what I'm doing because my future will be better. So while I'm studying so that I can get a better job in the future, and I'm also indulging in my senses now to bring a better future right now. So it's all going on. The present hopes and the future hopes. But meanwhile, what's in the past? The past is full of wreckage. The wreckage of unfulfilled desires, the wreckage of abuse, distortion, exploitation. But still, look ahead into this coming moment and the future. There'll be something for you. We have this naive, childlike belief in material happiness, and that is one of the symptoms of Maya. It's not an innocent thing. We like to garland ourselves with innocence. Well, what do you expect, We're in this world, we have desires, we have to have hope, and naturally we expect fulfillment. Otherwise, what else are you supposed to do with your life? I was posing this question last night to the guests. What are you supposed to do? You may have an inkling that it's a setup, that you're being framed. You may have an inkling that you're lost in illusion, but you can't kind of let that take over your life. In other words, you can't let your intelligence take over your life. There's just something pushing you. You've got to go on because it's out there. It's there waiting for you. Some persons are getting it. Why can't you? So there's like this mass consensual trance that's going on. And it's so easy to get caught up in that, and it's very difficult to get out of it. This false hope in material existence. And we were discussing last night how human beings will do anything other than confront that false hope. They don't want their toys, their baby toys, taken away. I remember in Ukraine a couple of months ago, and there was this very nice householder couple there, and they had a 4-year-old son. And so the 4-year-old son was a very devoted little boy. On his own, he decided to give me the dearest thing in his possession. And so the parents encouraged him. They wanted for him to begin his devotional expressions for the devotees. So he came up to me with his most cherished object, his pride toy truck. His parents told me he's going to give that to you because that's the dearest thing to him. So he came into the room, he started walking toward me with a devotional look on his face, holding the little toy truck. And then as he got closer, the expression on his face changed. He started looking down the truck, looking at me, looking down the truck, looking at me, and he obviously started thinking like, wait a minute, this is too much. I can't pay this price. He looked again at the truck and looked at me and then just burst out crying, burying his head in his mother, and I said, oh, it's all right. I'll live without the truck. It'll be okay. So he cried, he left the room. So a few weeks later, I came back to that city, and the parents, this is all America, the parents, he's ready now. He's ready, to give it to you. And what had happened was the parents had told him, all right, you keep your pride and enjoy that toy truck. We'll get you another toy truck to give tomorrow. So again, he approached me with a brand new toy truck in the box, with the cellophane window and everything. So the parents were quite sure that he's already, been allowed to keep his attachment for his pride toy truck. This is a totally different one. So again, he approached me holding the box with a smile on his face. Then he got about 3 feet away from me, and he started looking at that new box. He turned the box and looked through the cellophane window and started meditating on a brand new toy truck. I can't give this. You could just see he was getting it by contemplating the opposites of the senses. He was becoming attached. Like he wasn't attached before when he started walking toward me, but then he started looking at it. This is like a really good truck. I can't give this away. He's probably thinking, what's he going to do with it anyway? He doesn't appreciate toy trucks. He's out of it. He's an adult. He doesn't understand the nectar of playing with toy trucks. So he kept looking at the box, looking at me, and again, burst out crying, and his parents had to escort him out of the room. So again, this is the parents' idea. It wasn't my idea. So I can see a lot about human desire and human attachment. Okay, as little kids, we're like that about toy trucks or maybe dolls. When we're adults, we're like that about other things, but it's the same principle of contemplation, attachment. I can't give this up. This is crucial to me. So on the campus, San Francisco State, when I were hearing the students briefly, their aspirations. He would always, of course, with his inimitable enthusiasm, just make them feel good. Criminal justice, oh yeah, we need more of those, great. Oh, you're from China, wonderful, they're taking over the world. America's going there, great, whatever it was. He would just inspire them. And then, of course, showed them a book. So, and last night, I could see that same universal tendency. Even though the persons who come to those sessions at the Bhakti House, they're obviously special people, most special people in existence. But still, to varying degrees, of course, they have this hope in material existence. I mean, after all, there's got to be something. It can't be all that bad. There's got to be something there. It may not be everything that it makes itself out to be, but it's got to be something. And there has to be some special destiny awaiting for me. It was a little embarrassing discussing that because it's like a very buried deep down under in the core of the heart assumption that in some way I'm unique and the universe at some point in my life is going to give me something special in my own way because I am a special individual. And there's got to be some special flavor, some special destiny awaiting me. Where do we get these conclusions from? So we tried to examine that last time. Where do these delusions come from? That there's a special destiny awaiting me. So I began to explain how material existence works. I said, basically, there's going to be nothing special materially that happens to you. The illusory energy is like a cookie cutter, and it cuts all the cookies basically the same way. There are little variations of wealth or beauty or circumstance, but basically you're coming out of a cookie cutter that doesn't allow for any genuine uniqueness. So your hopes for feeling unique and that you have a special destiny, they'll never be fulfilled. It's impossible. That's not how the illusory energy works. The cookie cutter just cuts the cookies in terms of the same mold of birth, death, disease, and old age. Those are the basic facts. It's not fanaticism to say that. It's not sectarianism. You all come out of the cookie cutter, birth, death, disease, and old age, with variations of flavoring of the cookies. Here a little more wealth is sprinkled. There a little more beauty is sprinkled on the cookie. There a little more longevity. You get to live 80 years instead of 70 years. So why should we focus on all these unimportant distinctions when the basic deal is the same? So then we discussed reactions to the brutality of material existence. You can first of all just ignore it all. Just be upbeat, just be 100% optimistic, and all the distresses will roll off you like water off a duck's back. Just keep a song in your heart. Not the Hare Krishna ones, right? And just hold your head up. So that's one reaction. Then the other reaction is frustration. This is just not working out. I really struggled hard. I'm just not getting all I expected to get. So the question is, how long does that frustration last? Often it's just temporary, because the modes of nature change. Frustration, depression, the mode of ignorance, but then the mode of passion strikes, and you, let me go at it again, one more time. There's something out there for me. I can't give up now. Steve Jobs didn't give up. I won't give up. Everyone likes to take inspiration from these material heroes. They didn't give up. They kept on going. Failure is the pillar to success. So, that's one approach. Then there's another approach. It was amazing how many persons last night related to that approach. The defiance approach. I know it's all an illusion. I know that the satisfaction promised to me will never be delivered. I don't care. I'm just going to enjoy my senses and do what I want to do anyway. That's amazing. They all clicked on that. Yeah. That's where it's at, Just be defiant. I know I'm going to get smashed eventually, but who cares? That's my business. I'm just going to do what I want to do and use my senses the way I want to do. So what if I'm going to bang my head against the wall? Don't worry about it. It's my business. I'm just going to be an idiot anyway. There. And that way, I show that I have individuality and that my life has meaning just by being defiant. Bring it on, I don't care. Birth, disease, old age, so what? I'm going to enjoy my senses even for a few moments. And I know it's just for a few moments. I don't care. And why should you care? It was amazing how many of you all, yeah. Because if you have any semblance of intelligence, you do start to figure out after a while that, the deck is stacked, that material existence simply promises delivery and the products never come. It's like you go on the internet and you order something and you even get, emails, your purchase is confirmed. You will get delivery, estimated delivery, December 5th to 7th, and then the product never comes. Or if it comes, it's dead. And material existence is like that. The goods are never delivered the way that you hoped for. So we discussed this point last night, the agonies and so-called ecstasies. I could see that feeling meant a lot to these people. They wanted some knowledge that would allow their heart to function properly amidst all the setbacks and false hopes of material existence. They didn't want to repudiate their personhood and their personal strivings. They wanted to feel for real. So we discussed all about being authentic and genuine and how you can't do that in material existence. And therefore it's a real load on your heart that you gotta be a phony in order to make it. You can't wear your heart on your sleeve, in the race, in the struggle to get the sense objects. You gotta do what you gotta do. You try not to hurt anyone, but if it happens, well, that's life in a big city, This heartfelt need to be authentic and genuine it can never be properly fulfilled in material existence, and therefore there's pain in the heart, because you don't want to be a phony, but it seems that that's just the way life is. So I asked them, how many of you have ever looked someone in the eye and said, I'm for real? So a lot of them blushed, a lot of them laughed, a lot of them, yeah. I said, well, did you really mean it when you said it? A lot of them looked down before. It's just one of those things, one of them said, it's just one of those things you say, just, get what you want then, it's just one of those things you say in order to, you make the most of the moment, Yeah, I'm for real. So, regardless of the bogusness of persons so-called being for real, still there's that yearning. I wish I could meet someone for real. I wish there was reality around me. I need to be authentic, because it really burdens the heart to be surrounded by so much inauthenticity. It's agony. So I could see last night that amongst the people that yes, they were feeling that. I'm surrounded all my life by inauthenticity, and it's like it seems there's nothing else. Is that the way it's going to be? Everyone playing the game? So then we also discussed how relationships work in material existence. A relationship means your opportunity to project your false hopes on someone and your angers from how you've been mistreated in the past. You focus all that on the person, no matter what kind of relationship it is. You're hoping the relationship will help you fulfill your hopes. And also, you've got traumas from the past. You've been abused, you've been exploited, you've been mistreated, so you've got a lot of anger. So you put that into the relationship also. You expect that the other person, no matter what kind of relationship it is, you expect the other person should be able to handle it. If I'm dear to you and you're dear to me, you should be able to handle my false hopes and my angers from the past. That's just the way it is. You're not doing that. Well, what's the use of you? You're here to receive all my false hopes and all my angers from the past. Don't you understand that? And in return, I'll let you project at me all your false hopes and all your angers from the past traumas. And then we'll make it all work somehow. It'll all work out. You add a bit of passion in there, and it's a romantic relationship, and you're away. It's all happening. No, it's not happening. So I could see that those who came last night, They were willing to. It's not happening. But now what do? You can't just go on being defiant. I don't care. The odds are against me. I don't care. I'm going to enjoy my senses anyway, do what I got to do. That's life in the city. That's the way it is. I didn't make the world this way. What do you want out of me? You just got to do what you got to do to get over and get by. And everyone's doing like that. I never said I was a saint. I'm not the worst sinner. So just leave it at that. Now, in the same purport, in which we've learned that a living entity cannot exist without desires, but desires that can never be fulfilled are called kama, lusty desires, we also hear about desires in the highest portion of the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, where the gopis are desiring Krishna, and Krishna is desiring the gopis. But that desire is simply for one another's pleasure. The gopis are simply thinking of Krishna's pleasure. They can't conceive of pleasure separate from Krishna's pleasure. It's impossible. In other words, in our original constitutional position as spirit soul part of Krishna, in relationship with Krishna, we can't think of any other happiness except Krishna's happiness. There's no other definition of pleasure. So as you know, those of you who have read Chaitanya Charitamrita, the happiness of the gopis simply lies in giving pleasure to Krishna. When Krishna is happy looking at them, how beautiful they are, they become happy that Krishna is happy. Not an egotistical kind of a thing that, oh, how great do I look? Yes, indeed. Someone's noticing. Krishna's noticing. No, they know that their beauty directly nourishes Krishna's pleasure. So therefore, when they see Krishna's eyes wandering over them, it's not like an ego thing. Oh, finally someone's paying attention to me. Finally someone notices how good I look. No, it's Krishna is enjoying our beauty. Therefore, our beauty has value because Krishna is getting pleasure from it. And noting Krishna's pleasure, their beauty increases. And then noting how their beauty increases, Krishna's pleasure increases. And then noting how Krishna's pleasure increases, their beauty increases. So this goes on and on like that. We read that when Krishna plays his flute, he conquered the minds of the gopis. And without seeing the gopis, Krishna could not be happy. So they both depend on each other for conquering each other. Now this is very high, ecstatic, transcendental knowledge. When Sanatana Goswami, in the BBT classic Brihad Bhagavatamrita, done by Gopi Pranadana and his team with Jayadvaita Maharaj and Keshav Maharaj, when Sanatana Goswami describes Krishna's departure from Vrindavan, from Mathura, you can see there in Sanatana Goswami's description, Krishna crying because of the impending separation from the devotees in Vrindavan. It wasn't simply that the Vrajvasis were crying. Krishna was also crying. Krishna was also immobilized. When Mother Yashoda, just crying torrents of tears after being convinced by Nanda Maharaj, we have to let Akrura take Krishna to Mathura. You know the situation in Mathura with Vasudeva and Devaki and the others is horrible. We've not allowed this. He convinced her. She, as soon as she saw Akrura, she knew who he was and what he was after. And so she tried to hide Krishna under her cloth, even though Krishna's like around 11 years old. She tried to hide him under her cloth, and she was reciting magical incantations. Because she knew, the cloth isn't big enough to hide Krishna, so I gotta add some magic also. She's simply thinking 100%, Krishna shouldn't go there. It'll be horrible for him. He'll be in danger. So, Nanda Maharaj convinced her. And she walked out of her house the next morning, had Krishna by the hand. She took Krishna's hand and she put it in Akrura's hand with such a definitive gravity that I'm depositing Krishna with you. And according to the Vedic standard, if someone entrusts property to you, you have to return it. Otherwise, it's a very deadly sin. So that's her move when she put Krishna's hand in Akrura's hand. And then she turned to Nanda Maharaj and said, it's on you that Krishna returns. She didn't say that to Akrura. Because even though she put Krishna's hand in Akrura's hand, she doesn't trust him. So therefore, she puts Krishna's hand in Akrura's hand and she turns to Nanda Maharaj. You best bring my boy back. So, when the gopis saw this, they were just shocked. They told her she's mad. Do you understand what you've done? You have taken a calf and put it in the care of a tiger. Have you lost your mind? So, Nanda Maharaj brought Krishna to the chariot. And meanwhile, the whole village of Vrindavan is crying. They're crying so much they've lost their minds crying. Oh, you ever cried like that? You lost your mind. So, Krishna is crying also. Everyone is just merged in an ocean of grief. Finally, Krishna comes to his senses and he sees the gopis are almost dead. So he decides to take them to a secluded place in the forest. No one can object because everyone is still knocked out from crying. Even Akrura is just crying and he's lost in the scene. So Krishna and the gopis can sneak off to the forest and no one knows where they went. And finally Akrura snaps out of it, gets himself together and realizes, oh no, Krishna's gone off, we don't know where he is. What to do? When Krishna goes into the forest, only Balaram knows his secret groves. I've got to convince Balaram to help me to find Krishna, otherwise the whole mission is aborted. So Akrura does that. Balaram, don't you understand what will happen in Mathura if I don't bring Krishna back? Vasudeva and Devaki will be finished. The Yakus will be devastated. It'll be horrible. Balaram, you have to help. So Balaram walked with Akrura to the forest, and Balaram knows how to pick up Krishna's footprints like no one else can. So indeed, they find where Krishna is with the gopis. Balaram respectfully stays away. He has his own sections and groves of Vrindavan with his own consorts. He doesn't come near Krishna when Krishna is dealing with his most intimate devotees. Akrura, he just marched right in. He made his presentation to Krishna. Krishna, you have to come. First, he tried to arouse Krishna's compassion. Kamsa is waiting in Mathura with his sword held high over Vasudeva and Devaki. They'll be tortured, they'll be dead, you have to come with me. But he saw this wasn't working. Krishna wasn't responding. And then he tried anger. Krishna, do you know how foul a demon Kamsa is? Surrounded by the most egotistical asuras. Some are impotent, some are very powerful. And Kamsa is just a despot. He thought that by hearing this, Krishna would, since compassion didn't work, maybe anger would work. So Krishna heard all that. And he began to become filled with sorrow and anger. Sorrow at the plight of the Mathuravasis and anger at Kamsa. And then what was the final selling point? Krishna looked at Balaram and Balaram was silent. Krishna knew Balaram So Akura thought, okay, we got action here. The plan is starting to work. He pulled out all the stops. He's crying with blades of grass in his teeth. He began falling at the feet of each gopi. Please, please, let Krishna go. You have to allow this. And Krishna and Balaram started walking toward the chariot. And Akura quickly raced onto the chariot and put Krishna and Balaram there. And the whole village of Vrindavan surrounded the chariot. Not simply human beings, but animals. Not simply cows and buffaloes, but even wolves and jackals. All are surrounding the chariot, crying. Sanatana Goswami describes that trees and great stones were falling from the mountains, including Govardhan Hill. Rivers shrank, revealing all the vegetation. And then the river started flowing upstream. What was happening was so painful that even later, when descriptions of that event are given, stones shatter, trees collapse, lightning bolts shatter. So this was the scene going on. Now, can Krishna leave Vrindavan? How is he feeling? You know, the devotees are devastated. The devotees are conquered by Krishna, but Krishna is conquered by the devotees. So, Krishna was in such a devastated state as Akura started driving the chariot. Akura had to maneuver because the gopis had thrown themselves under the chariot wheels, hoping, I'd rather die than endure Krishna's separation. Meanwhile, Akura looks at Krishna and sees Krishna is overcome with tears and devastation. Akura is thinking he might jump off the chariot at any moment. So Akura is very clever. He decides, I've got to make like I'm going to support Krishna to keep him from fainting from the devastating scene. And actually, all I'm doing is holding him so he doesn't run away. But then as he's holding Krishna, to keep Krishna from running away, he actually notices that Krishna is about to faint. So he asks the permission of Nanda Maharaj and Balaram, we've got to get this chariot going faster. Can we go faster? I mean, I don't know if we're going to get out of here otherwise. Krishna is, he'll jump off the chariot, he'll faint, you just got to go quickly. And so he cracked the whip and the horses increased their speed. Sanatana Goswami points out that after all, they were Kamsa's horses. So this way we see that Krishna is bound to his devotees, and his devotees are bound to him. And this is the perfection of desire. Simply desiring Krishna's satisfaction produces the most intense existential situation. And that's what bhakti is leading to through our devotional service through parampara. So we're very happy to invest all our emotions in devotional service. We're happy to have all our hopes invested in devotional service. The hope is genuine, the hope is authentic. All right, we'll stop here. Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Glory to Prabhupada.
So just Devamrita Swami SB.